Howdy folks, welcome back to another episode of Mingles with Jingles. Before we get started, there's a bunch of things I've been meaning to mention in other videos throughout this week that I just keep forgetting to do. So I want to get them out of the way right at the start of this week's Mingles with Jingles while I have your attention. The first thing, for you World of Tankers, I've mentioned Duckster before, gaming community, with a World of Tanks portal. When they launched, they had a massive giveaway, gave away all sorts of stuff for World of Tanks. They're having another giveaway just for the hell of it. This is basically free stuff that you can get for World of Tanks. And in order to get it, all you have to do is answer this forum post over on the Duckster forums. Now, the link for it is popping up on screen right now due to the magic of YouTube. And also, obviously, if you check the video description down below, I'll put the link to it here. And it's literally just a straightforward link to the Duckster forums, and they want you to answer 3 questions in your forum post. What's your favourite World of Tanks portal feature on Duckster? What's your favourite feature on Duckster overall? And 1 improvement suggestion. Simple as that. You'll need a Duckster account, obviously, to post on the forums, but that's literally all you have to do. Now, you can double your chances of winning the prize by tweeting the giveaway link and sharing the giveaway link on Facebook and tagging Duckster. What exactly is up for grabs in this giveaway? Well, they have 3 2,100 gold codes for the PC version of World of Tanks and some stickers. They have 5 beta codes for the Xbox version of World of Tanks and some stickers. And if they get 100 unique responses to this forum post, and I think they may already have it, there are 9 pages of replies here, by October the 6th, the contest runs until the 6th of October. 1 winner will also receive a World of Tanks swag pack, which includes 2,100 gold, an Xbox beta code, an Xbox beta code, World of Tanks stickers, and a World of Tanks t-shirt. And I really should be recommending Duckster more because it's just such a nice, friendly World of Tanks community that they've built up over there. And there's all sorts of good stuff here. You've got alerts, Newcomers Guide to World of Tanks, Top Tankers, yay, there's me, Quickie Baby, Side Strafe, Circon, Tank Wars here, Hall of Fame, Newsfeed, Meme Generator, blah blah blah, all sorts of stuff. And you can buy World of Tanks stuff here as well. By earning what they've got their own currency here, ducats, and just doing stuff on the Duckster portal earns you ducats, which you can use towards getting discounts on World of Tanks goodies. So Duckster, I really don't recommend it enough. There it is. The next thing I've been meaning to mention is on behalf of one of the other EU community contributors for World of Tanks, Listy. He is currently writing a book proposal for Wargaming. He wants to put out a book in English language. Actually, if he gets everything he wants out of it, it'll be a series of books produced by Wargaming, each focusing on a single tank, and each coming with a unique tank code. It will be aimed at the lower price end of the market. And one of the key parts of a book proposal is trying to prove that there's a market there. So these books would be sold by Wargaming on the World of Tanks website. Basically, Listy wanted me to poll you guys as how many of you would be interested in buying one of these books. If the idea of buying books about tanks is floats your boat, then by all means feel free to answer in the comments of this video. Or if you have access to the EU forums, then give Listy a PM directly and let him know that you would support the project. If you do. Obviously, if you don't, then don't bother replying. Listy's name popping up on screen right now. In case you want to go to the EU forums and offer him your support for this book project that he's currently proposing to Wargaming. One final thing that I needed to mention, I have made reference in previous videos to the visit to the tank collection at the Royal Defence College at Shrivenham that we're going to be doing towards the end of October. I'm also visiting the Fleet Air Arm Museum at Royal Naval Air Station Yeovilton, going up with a couple of the other EU community contributors who are organising the whole thing. Now, while we're there, it's not just looking at the aircraft and looking at the tanks. At Shrivenham in particular, we're actually getting inside the tanks and messing around with them. And we're going to be allowed inside the Challenger 2, which is going to be amazing. But it's also talking to the curator of the museums, as well as there are going to be a bunch of people there who actually drove the tanks and actually flew the aircraft. So if you guys have got any questions that you would like me to ask them, this is your chance. And I'm sure you guys know the drill by now. Any questions that you have, stick them in the comments of this video. When we actually go to the museums, we'll be taking a list of the questions. I mean, Obviously, there's no way we're going to be able to ask every question that gets posted in the comments, but we'll have a good stab at it, and we'll be making a video of the results. Right, now we got all that out of the way, let's get on with the questions from last week's Mingles with Jingles. First question this week comes from Avtbro, who wants to know, do you think that gold and premium time are a good investment for somebody who's only a casual player in a game like... Well, he's referring to World of Tanks, but it applies to War Thunder as well. First of all, and once again, I'm not directly answering his question, not yet anyway. A casual player who only plays a few times a week, that's me. I only play World of Tanks twice a week. I usually only really play War Thunder once a week. The rest of my time is spent editing videos and sorting through replays. Does that make me a casual player? I suppose, you know, if we're going to be technical about it, then yeah, I am a casual player. Never really thought of myself like that. But, I mean, if you look at my World of Tanks account, I've got over 100 days of premium time from various different gift packages and stuff. And it's absolutely true. You know, it's actually a very, very good question. I am just not using most of the stuff that I have on my World of Tanks account, and even more so on my War Thunder account, because I'm only playing 2 days a week. I play Monday nights when I live stream on Circumflex's Twitch stream, and Thursday nights on Quickie Baby's Twitch stream, and that is pretty much the only time I ever play World of Tanks. So the premium account time is almost completely wasted. And if you're in that sort of situation as well, although I'm still trying to get my head around the idea that I am actually a casual World of Tanks player. But yeah, definitely, you certainly don't want to be wasting your money on premium time. If you're only playing 2 or 3 days a week at the most, I'm not saying gold is completely useless to you. You could use it to transfer the experience that you have on your elite tanks to free experience to unlock modules on new tanks that you've just purchased and researched. But yeah, stuff like premium account time is probably a total waste. And you don't really get much value for money if you buy your premium account time in 1 day or 3 day or 1 week stretches. You really need to be buying 2 weeks at a time or a month at a time to get your value for money. So if you're a casual player, I wouldn't recommend things like premium account, but you can certainly, I mean, gold is not useless. Converting free XP is going to save you the stock grind on a lot of very, very nasty tanks. So gold certainly has its place. But premium time, yeah, not for casual players. I'd have a hard time recommending it. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about was, and this is always a hot potato, it's the XVM mod pack for World of Tanks. There it is in all its glory. And as you can see, I mean, I have been running XVM with World of Tanks since patch 8.6, but I never had the stats version of XVM that you can see here, with the chance to win and the colour-coded player efficiency and how many battles they've played and so on and all those sort of things. All I actually had working in my 8.6 and 8.7 versions of XVM were the hit counter at the top of the screen, the minimap mod, and that was pretty much it. And I was absolutely fine with that, because I'd resisted installing XVM for a long time. And the reason I'd resisted installing it was because XVM just reminded me too much of the hated gear score mod in World of Warcraft. Gear score was... There was nothing there was nothing inherently wrong with gear score as a mod. There's nothing really inherently wrong with most mods for most games, but it's just the way people use them. Gear score in World of Warcraft was basically just used by lazy people who wanted their dungeon runs to be as effort-free as possible, and gave them a tool to evaluate the gear of somebody who was looking for a dungeon group, and people would just reject anybody who actually needed the gear from that dungeon. And it ended up creating a vicious circle. You couldn't get into a group for a dungeon because gear score said your gear wasn't good enough. You couldn't improve your gear to get into a group for the dungeon because you couldn't get into a dungeon because people were kicking you out of groups because gear score said your gear wasn't good enough. And so it made it really, really hard for people to break into doing heroic dungeons and then raiding and so on and so on and so on. And again, nothing wrong with the mod. It's just the way it got abused. You see the same thing happening in World of Tanks with XVM. Now what this section of the mod does is it color codes the names of all of your teammates and enemies according to their, well, you can actually customize it, their efficiency rating, their win rate, whatever floats your boat. At the moment it's showing everybody's efficiency rating. Now, if you hold down tab, there you go, you can see in slightly more detail win rate, efficiency rating, WN7 rating, all sorts of other ratings. Basically what it's trying to do is tell you who's a good player, who's a bad player, and it will evaluate your chance of winning or losing this game. Now in its defense, XVM does do a reasonably good job of predicting the sort of results you can expect and the sort of performance you can expect from a teammate whose name is in red, for example. It should probably come as no surprise to anybody that the first people dead on both teams are players with red efficiency ratings. There are inarguably some atrociously bad players playing World of Tanks. XVM will help you to identify them. What XVM is not for, and what it does get abused for, is for while the countdown of the battle is starting, holding down tab and checking out the various efficiency ratings of the players on your team, and if you don't like what you see, it is not there in order to allow you to start shouting at them and calling them noobs and generally being an asshat. Unfortunately, that's what XVM gets used for. What you should be doing with this section of XVM is using it to evaluate how much you can rely on the other players in your team in any given circumstance or situation. For example, you're about to go around a corner in your medium tank, there's a heavy tank with you. You want this heavy tank to back you up when you draw the fire of the enemy tanks around the corner. Does this guy have 400 efficiency? Has he AFK'd and botted his way to the tier 8 heavy tank that he's currently driving? If he has, and this is what XVM is indicating, it's probably a good idea not to go around the corner, because what's likely to happen is he's just going to watch you die and then look around and ask, okay, who's going next? Similarly, if you're facing off against an enemy E100 around a corner, and XVM is telling you that this guy has 15,000 games played and 700 efficiency, you can probably count on winning the fight against this guy around the corner, if you're any good, because he definitely isn't. What XVM is not telling you to do is to go around the corner, kill the guy, and then spend the rest of the game insulting and humiliating him and broadcasting his low efficiency rating to everybody who will listen in battle chat. XVM is not telling you to do that. You are not doing that because XVM is telling you to do that. You're doing that because you're a prick. It's unfortunately a sad fact of life that the internet is where arseholes live. And arseholes are going to abuse things like XVM. Not because there's anything wrong with XVM, but because they're arseholes. Despite all of that, I do actually have a problem with XVM, but it's not a problem with the mod itself. This is more a problem with me. Or more accurately, it's a problem with what I'm afraid I might turn into if I keep using XVM stats. Now, I'm never going to be one of those guys who starts insulting and humiliating people based purely on what XVM is reporting somebody's efficiency to be. I've seen people with atrocious efficiency ratings having the game of their lives and being the superstar that saves the match. I've seen people with very, very good efficiency ratings totally donking out right at the beginning. Hell, I do it all the time myself. I'll never show you those games, although if you tune in to Quickie Baby or Circumflex's live streams, you'll see them. I don't put them up on YouTube because they're not entertaining to watch. But they happen, and they happen a lot. Despite the fact that XVM claims I'm an above average player. Well, I am an above average player. I'm not great, but I am pretty good. But everybody can have a bad game. XVM cannot predict that, and that's the thing about XVM stats. It's listing probabilities, not certainties. And I've seen people throw away games that were 93% win chances. In fact, if you watch the Tank Company live stream that we did on Saturday, you will see 3 or 4 matches that we had a 93% probability of winning, that we lost because we were just dicking around and not taking it seriously. And it's that win rate prediction, which for me personally is the reason why I am probably going to get rid of XVM stats and just go back to using XVM the way I used it in patch 8.6 and 8.7 for the minimap mod and the hit counter. It's that prediction of the win rate. And this is purely personal because I know the kind of pessimist I am. And if I've been having a bad streak in World of Tanks, where I've just been losing game after game after game, and I hit that random battle button, and the first thing I see is XVM stats telling me this is another 35%er and my entire team is red efficiency players, I know the kind of person I am. I'll just give up. I'll throw in the towel. I won't even bother trying. I may even just quit the battle right at the start, and I don't want to be that guy because I have won games prior to having XVM stats that XVM predicted were a 35% win rate. Well, I didn't know at the time because I didn't have XVM stats, but people have told me afterwards, do you know that was a 35%? What? If I'd known that in advance, I wouldn't have tried. And I don't want to be that guy. So that's why I am probably going to be getting rid of XVM stats. Not because it's a bad mod, not because there's anything inherently wrong with it, but because I know what I'm like, and I know it's going to piss me off and depress me when I get that kind of game over and over and over. And I don't want to stop trying, because you can always win. So, XVM stats, as with so many things in life, it's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it's how you use it, or, as is most often the case, it's how you abuse it that matters. The next question, well, it's not really a question, it's more of a challenge. Yeah, that's got your interest, hasn't it? Yeah. This comes from KhaosTheoryGaming. And he says, Jingles, since you're from Newcastle, can you do a section in next week's Mingles with Jingles with a Geordie accent? Oh, I wish I could. I really, really wish I could. I am so crap. I just can't do it anymore. Just in case those of you from non-English speaking communities, and some could argue that Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England is not an English speaking community. The Geordie accent, and the Geordie it's an expression that's used for people primarily from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. The same way you have Scousers from Liverpool and Cockneys from London and so on and so on. But the Geordie accent is one of the most unintelligible accents to anybody who's not from the area. It's not unusual for Europeans to listen to somebody from where I come from speaking with the Geordie accent and be unaware that he is actually speaking English. It's that bad. In fact, I have even seen English news shows interviewing somebody from Newcastle and putting subtitles up on the bottom of the screen so people can actually understand what they're talking about. And I used to talk like that. Well, I say used to. Obviously, since you can understand what I'm saying, I no longer talk like that. But the thing is, while I can understand a Geordie, I can't do it myself. I just can't do it anymore. I've lived away from Newcastle for too long. I'm the kind of person that tends to pick up on the accent of whatever's being spoken around him. When I was based in Rosyth, which is in Scotland, not far from Edinburgh, at the communication centre there, down in the nuclear bunker, because 90% of the people around me were speaking with an Edinburgh accent, after 3 or 4 months there, I was speaking with an Edinburgh accent. And I was convincing enough that Edinburgh taxi drivers thought I was Scottish. That's how I roll. I haven't actually lived in Newcastle since 1989. When I joined the Navy, I pretty much spent most of my time around a whole bunch of people who speak all different kinds of accents. And so my accent is recognisably Northern English, but that's about it. I could be from anywhere. And the embarrassing thing is that now, even though I am from Newcastle, when I try to do a Geordie accent, it just sounds so fake. I sound like somebody from the south of England trying to do a Geordie accent and doing it badly. I just can't do it anymore. I even tried rehearsing prior to recording this section of the video, and I was cringing. Just, it sounded so bad. I couldn't do it. It would be insulting to my family for me to try to do a Geordie accent for this video. I just can't. Oh no, I nearly tried there, and you know when you're about to try something and you know instantly the second you open your mouth that it's the wrong thing to do. That was me there. Oh, I'm so incredibly bad at doing a Geordie accent. Sorry. Challenge denied. Oh, right, I'll have a go. I will ask them... I'll do the next question. Tell you what, that's what I'll do. Right, because if I do it properly, you wouldn't understand a word I was saying unless you were actually from Newcastle. So I'll do the next question on this Mingles with Jingles in a Geordie accent. But that'll be okay because the question will be appearing on the screen at the same time. So even if nobody can understand what I'm saying, the question's there. So, okay, challenge accepted. I'll have a go. Don't laugh. Right, here it comes. Oh, I'd better not mess this up. Right, okay. Here it comes, Geordie accent. Next question's from Alex Linton, and he wants to know, Jingles, have you got the same problems in World of Tanks that you've got in War Thunder? Oh, that was terrible. That's it. My family have disowned me. I can never show my face in Newcastle again. Newcastle, I'm so sorry. Anyway, Alex Linton's question. It's a good one. No, definitely not. I mean, it's really, really hard to tell because, if you want to come after me just because I'm Jingles in World of Tanks, come at me, bro. I'm in a tank. It's an entirely different proposition to flying an aircraft. And I can only think of one occasion where definitely 100% guaranteed, beyond any shadow of a doubt, I was getting headhunted in a game of World of Tanks purely because, oh look, it's Jingles. And it was a tier 10 game on El Haloof. I was in my M46 pattern, the tier 9 pattern, and 3 enemy tier 10 mediums made a beeline for me. They drove right across an open field, got the crap shot out of them, ignored everybody else on the way over, and just unloaded into me. And, if you want to do that, if you want to throw away 3 tier 10 medium tanks to kill 1 tier 9 medium tank, be my guest, because it cost them 3 tier 10 medium tanks. Hell, it didn't just cost them 3 tier 10 mediums, it cost them the game. So, please, do it more often. I have no problem with that. It's a completely different kettle of fish. First of all, you've got to find me. It's not like a game of, a War Thunder arcade battle where you can pretty much see where everybody is after the first 30 seconds of the game. And it doesn't matter what you're flying. A bullet can kill a pilot of any aircraft in War Thunder. It's a different matter in World of Tanks. Just because even if you know where I am, you still have to hit me, and you still have to penetrate my armour, and you still have to count on me not killing you first. I'm better at World of Tanks than I am at War Thunder. I'm not very good at War Thunder. I'm pretty good at World of Tanks. So if you fancy your chances, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. It's not quite as easy as you might think. Next question comes from Geordie211. He wants to know, Jingles, what's your favourite tank in each tier and why? Oh, this one's a good question. And the thing I love about questions like this, it's like there are a whole bunch of videos up on YouTube of top 10s, lists. These are my top 10 rock songs of all time. And the comments section of those videos are literally just flame wars between everybody who's raging that their favourite song didn't make it into the list, or wasn't high enough up the list, or what the hell did you put that piece of crap at number 1 for, this should be number 1, and so on and so on and so on. So we're going to have a very own flame war in this week's Mingles with Jingles, as people argue over the tanks that I missed out of my top 10. So here we go. Starting at tier 1, the LOL tractor, because it is absolutely epic. Base 310 meter view range. You pimp that thing out, you can have a tier 1 tank with 390 meter view range. Just think about that for a minute. Imagine the seal clubbing you could do in a tier 1 tank with a 390 meter view range. And that's why the LOL tractor is, and always will be, the king of tier 1. At tier 2, there are some strong contenders at tier 2 as well. The Panzer II is a good machine. I was tempted to go with a Tetrarch because it's just an absolute sniper of a tank. I have the most kills in any game I've ever had in a game of World of Tanks driving a Tetrarch. 12 kills in one match, or was it 11? It was more than 10, whatever. But I'm going to go with a T-18 tank destroyer because it's so ridiculously troll. T-18 tank destroyer with a 75mm howitzer can one-shot everything in its own tier, and a lot of things a tier higher. In fact, just about the only thing that you really need to be afraid of if you're driving a T-18 is a Mark III cruiser tank, or a Tetrarch. Pretty much everything else, just look at the Joy of Derp video, or the Himmelsdorf Death Race 2000 video I put up yesterday. Driving around Himmelsdorf in that thing, screaming around Himmelsdorf in that thing because it's so fast. Just one-shotting and ramming everything to death. It's a fantastic little machine. And the FV215B183 Tier 10 British tank destroyer shoots T-18 tank destroyers out of its barrel. That's what it actually uses as ammunition. So, if it's good enough for the British Tier 10 tank destroyer, it's good enough for me at Tier 2. Tier 3. Well, there used to be some really, really good machines at Tier 3. Unfortunately, they've all been kicked to death with the Nerf Hammer, the Marder, the Su-26. The M3 Stuart has still got it. It's a fantastic little tank. It's quick, it's manoeuvrable, its 37mm gun is not bad at all. And I probably would have said the M3 Stuart, except a couple of patches back they introduced the Panzer 1C, and it's hilarious with that 13mm Mauser machine gun. It is absolutely fantastic. I have so much fun in low tier matches playing that thing. Even if you're in a tier 5 match and there's pretty much nothing you can penetrate other than the artillery, you can still kill the artillery and just zip around all the big boys, as they're completely unable to hit you because you're just too quick, annoying the shit out of them. I think the Panzer 1C is fantastic. At tier 4, it's got to be the Hetzer, because the Hetzer's gonna Hetz. That's what it does. It Hetzers, therefore it is. The Hetzer's fantastic, and that's my choice at tier 4. Tier 5, there are so many great machines at tier 5. Having to pick just one of them, I mean, you've got the Stug 3, the T-34, the M4 Sherman, you've got the T-49, so many to choose from. I'm strongly tempted to go with the Chaffee, because it's great, and it's the last of the true tier 5 light tank scouts. All of the others have either been removed from the game entirely, like the T-50-2, or bumped up a tier to tier 6, where they have a much harder time of it. Yeah, the Chaffee. It's the Scooby-Doo tank. It's great. It's just a fantastic, punchy little machine. It's got fantastic view range. It's an amazingly good passive scout, and it fires almost as fast as an autoloader with its 76mm T92 gun. Except it doesn't have the reload that you have with autoloaders. It's just a fantastic little tank. And during the latter stages of a game, if the Chaffee's still alive, injured heavy tanks, beware. I have had so much fun driving that thing. That's my pick for the tier 5s, the Chaffee, tier 5 American light tank. Tier 6, I know I'm going to get so much hell for saying this, but I'm not going to say the TOG. I love the TOG. I love it to bits, but it is a bit crap. No, it is. It's not a very good tank if you play it alone. The TOG in a platoon is a force of nature, but a TOG by itself is a very sad and lonely tank. I'm sorry, it just is. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Well, except it isn't fantastic. It is crap. But that's part of its charm, and it's the reason why I love it. So I'm not going to pick the TOG, because the TOG only works if you're in a platoon. Oh, no, I can't do it. I'm picking the TOG. I don't care. I don't care that it's rubbish. It's the best tank at tier 6, even though it isn't. So there you go. TOG tank, best tank, EU. Tier 7, you've got some very, very strong heavy tanks. The Tiger P, the T-29, the IS-2, the IS. Some very, very no, and you'll notice I didn't say the Black Prince on purpose. Yeah, some very, very strong heavy tanks indeed. Some of those Tier 7 premium tank destroyers are pretty damn impressive as well. The SU-122-44 is really, really good. The E-25 is legendary fun. But I think I'm probably going to have to go with the T-29. It is my favourite of the Tier 7 heavies. In fact, it's probably my favourite Tier 7 of all. Well, of course it is, because I'm naming it as, you know, my pick for the best Tier 7 machine. The 105mm gun is great. The frontal turret armour is absolutely fantastic. The gun depression is legendary. It's mobile. The frontal hull armour isn't that bad at all. Sides and rear, utter garbage, but in all other respects it's a fantastic Tier 7 heavy tank. At Tier 8, things are going to start to get really, really tough. There are some absolutely incredible machines at Tier 8. You've got, I mean, I love the Centurion Mark 1. I think it's an amazing medium tank. You've got some very strong Tier 8 premiums, the IS-6, the 112, the T-34, the Jagdtiger 88, not the Super Pershing, probably not the Lerva. You've got some legendary Tier 8 tank destroyers, the Ferdinand, the Jagdpanther 2. There's some great machines at Tier 8, but Tier 8's where you get the ISU-152, isn't it? No contest whatsoever. That BL-10 troll cannon on a Tier 8 machine, hell yes. I have had so much fun in the ISU-152. It's a machine that, you know, it provokes equal measures love and hate. That troll cannon, they don't call it the troll cannon for no good reason, because sometimes it trolls you just as hard as it trolls the enemy. It's an amazing gun when it behaves itself. It's the most frustrating gun in the game when it doesn't behave itself, but you will never be bored driving the ISU-152. You'll either be tearing your hair out in frustration, or you'll be falling on the floor laughing your ass off as you one-shot. I mean, it's just such an amazing gun, that BL-10. The penetration, the raw damage output on a Tier 8 machine is ridiculous. So for me at Tier 8, it's always going to be the ISU-152 Russian Tier 8 tank destroyer. Tier 9 is probably my favourite tier in the game. I would really, really struggle to come up with a bad Tier 9 machine. You've got the Lorraine, the French Tier 9 medium tank, which I absolutely love. I loved it more when it was a Tier 8 medium, but it's still got it as a Tier 9. Speaking of Tier 9 mediums, they're pretty much all fantastic. The E50, the T54 is amazing. I haven't played the Chinese Tier 9 medium yet. Also haven't played the T54E1 American autoloader, but I do like the look of it. You've got probably one of my favourite tanks in the game, the M46 Patton. Tier 9 tank destroyers. The Tier 8 tank destroyers tend to be a bit weak. I mean, they have great guns across the board. The Tier 8 tank destroyers' guns are fantastic, but the machines themselves are a bit fragile. They don't have a lot of health. That changes with the Tier 9 tank destroyers that are almost all fantastic. I mean, the Jagdtiger is amazing. The Object 704 is great. The SU 12254 is really, really good. The Tortoise, which I haven't driven yet, a lot of people swear by it. I'm really struggling to think of a bad Tier 9 machine. The heavy tanks, the E75 is amazing. The AMX 5120 has a fantastic gun, ridiculous firepower. The IS-8 is probably, yeah, but it's not. Again, the IS-8 isn't a bad machine. It's fast, it's mobile, it's got a deadly gun. The you know what? The argument over what that thing's called is going to rage on forever. The ST, I don't care what you call it. Again, great tank. It's like the Russian E75. Until very recently, I would have said the M46 Patton and just left it at that. It is a great tank. But recently I started playing the Centurion Mark 7/1, and that thing is amazing. It's everything I want in a medium tank. It's not amazingly fast, but it's fast enough. The acceleration, the maneuverability is really, really good. It's got two very, very good guns, the 105mm or the 20-pounder Type B barrel, either of which you can use depending on the circumstances you're in. I tend to find that the The 105mm is the gun that you use when you're playing alone, right? If you haven't got platoon mates to back you up. If you do have platoon mates to back you up, use the 20-pounder B barrel. The DPM is absolutely ridiculous, and the penetration is still more than good enough. It's just an all-round great medium tank. So at tier 9, new kid on the block for me, Centurion 7-1. Then we come to tier 10, and we find a whole bunch of tanks that I just don't enjoy playing. I just don't like playing tier 10 games. Well, this is strange. I don't mind playing tier 10 games if I'm in a tier 9 tank, but there's something about the tier 10 tanks. I've got some very, very good tier 10 tanks. I've got the M48 Patton, the T110 E5, but I just don't really enjoy playing them. So I'm going to leave this one open and leave this one over to you. What's your favourite tier 10 tank in the game, and why? And why do I suck so much in them, despite the fact that most of them are really, really good tanks? Anyway, folks, we're coming up to 36. In fact, we've passed the 36-minute mark. So that is it for this week's Mingles with Jingles. Don't forget the World of Tanks giveaway on Duckster. And if you have any questions for the staff at the Royal Naval Fleet Air Arm Museum at Yeovilton, or the tank guys at Shrivenham, then post those in the comments as well, and I'll try to make sure I get your questions asked when I go on those museum visits. As always, folks, take care on that battlefield, watch your 6, and I will catch you next time.